Hi everyone, Lazy Fire here. Welcome back to the Hate the Player podcast. It's just Arnold and I tonight. Yeah, there we go. Arnold, we're gonna start off this thing because you've actually been playing games.
I
So
know.
we
I
can talk
know.
about games.
Yeah, you're welcome. I've been spending my life constructively masturbating and playing video games. Well, actually, not so much. Anyway, I met a nice girl, and I haven't had to masturbate recently.
Okay.
So, hey, yeah,
There we go.
There we go. Anyway,
She knows when you talk about her.
apparently. So yeah.
Okay.
All right, 7
let's
Days
go.
to Die. It's a game. It's a game. I played it. It's basically Minecraft meets DayZ. I feel like I've talked about a lot of games that are X meets DayZ.
Yeah, it seems to be the genre you get yourself into the most.
Yeah, but I like it because like you can make people really, really angry. And in real life, I'm not really a dick, kind of. But on the internet, I like being an asshole, and it's fun. And people get upset, and yeah. So anyway, Minecraft meets DayZ. It's pretty. It's more fun than it sounds, I guess.
Okay,
Because
yeah, 'cause it
Minecraft-
sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, no, Minecraft, bad game. DayZ, bad game. The ideas of them, good, very good, both of them. This kind of takes the good parts from both of them, like the crafting elements of Minecraft, minus the on PC. I know the crafting's kind of shitty, but in that you have to like organize everything. Like if you want a pickaxe, you have to shape it like a pickaxe, or shape your materials like a pickaxe, and it's very tedious. And this game has that, but once you do it the first time, you can just click the item you want on a list, and it'll make it.
Mm-hmm.
So it still has that, which I think is kind of pointless, but it kind of has a way around it.
Yeah.
So you basically run around looting stuff, looting cars, buildings, randomly generated buildings, randomly generated cities, stuff like that. And there are a bunch of different zombie types, and unlike DayZ, the zombies can actually fuck your shit up. And they get faster at night. They will destroy your base, so you have to be pretty creative in how you construct your base, and you have to be pretty vigilant in defending it. The most fun part of the game is probably the mid game, where you actually have a base, like starting it set up, but you aren't like so set up that ammo doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because once you get late game, it gets a little easy. At least if you're playing like a PvE server, which I have friends that play it, and they're Care Bears. So I mean, sometimes, honestly, I really don't like playing games like that, PvE. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it has to. It's part of the whole thing.
It was a good way to learn to play the game.
Right.
Now, the joy of the game, the real game, is getting explosives and fucking somebody's base up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always
you
the
were
fun
dumb
part.
enough to build a fucking sand. And unlike Minecraft, physics exist.
Oh.
You can't just nerd pole to the heavens and I'll be like, oh, I'm fine. For those not in the know, a nerd pole is where you would, in Minecraft, where you would jump, put a block down underneath you, jump, put a block down underneath you, and you could go as high as you want.
Yeah.
In this, you can do that, but if that block at the bottom gets knocked down, you're fucked. So, and you fall to your death. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when you're building things, you actually kind of have to take into consideration, oh shit, gravity exists.
So you can't just build a fucking Empire State Building replica out
Right.
in the woods,
Well,
right?
right. Or you could because it's a building, but you probably couldn't build a Star Destroyer.
Right. Oh.
Yeah,
Too bad.
I know. But
Star Destroyers in Minecraft, you may as well just fucking build it out of Legos and say you built it in Minecraft.
pretty much.
Does nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. You can get people really, really salty. And The scavenging is interesting. It's fun. It's a good time. It has different biomes and different things spawn in those biomes. The city, I've noticed, the more you kill, the more things spawn. So it really encourages you to kind of sneak around unless you want to, like, just get fucked.
Yeah.
And not the nice kind of way.
Oh, too bad.
So
really, what's your... how does this whole thing work? You just join a server every time you log in, or is there a server you're always part of? Or?
It's just like Minecraft. You find a server, and you do that. As far as I know, it's persistent. The days actually matter, because every 7 days there's a big... The zombies get more aggressive every 7-day cycle. Then they go back to kind of normal. Yeah, it's persistent servers. Now, from what I've seen, the servers restart fairly often.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's more to make it interesting, because like I said, once you get to late game stuff, it gets a little boring. Especially if you have like a fucking Care Bear server where people are just sitting around and jerking their dick off in their base. You know, it's not fun.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, that's what people do in those. In every base building game I've been a part of, everybody just wants to build a fuck off big base and then bitch about why they never see anybody.
Yeah. No one's gonna assault that thing.
Right. So it's dumb. So
yeah. It's just the problem I have with those servers, if they're persistent or not persistent, is that even in a game where it's like, oh, resources are scarce because of the way things respawn and come back and how people play on those servers, it's effectively an infinite resource server at all times. So it's just like, I'm going to go here, I'm going to get wood, I'm going to get this, it's going to craft it into this, blah, blah, blah. You'll never run out of whatever materials you need if you're just going to run around and grab these things, if you dedicate yourself to it.
That's true.
What
were you saying?
The kind of person who's going to dedicate themselves to doing that sort of thing is not really fun to play with in the first place.
Agreed. But they actually do have servers where nothing respawns. So as resources get more and more scarce, you have to kill other players to steal their shit. It's kind of like real life roleplay, I guess. But but the thing is that kind of gets tired too, because if there's no resources, then what the fuck are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, how do you fight the guy that's like? I mean, you're Mad Max, and this guy's the fucking Tina Turner running the Thunderdome. You know?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do against that?
I don't know. It's my big thing with those PvE games, the resource survival games, is just that sort of issue. Like, you're going to build yourself up to a point where you're basically unassailable. Like, it's just annoying. You as a person, I guess, might not be, but you'll have the resources to kind of back it up. But you said, you have servers that just don't identify with that. But you seem to have gotten some hours out of it. Yeah. You seem to have gotten some hours out of it, so you feel pretty good about this. Is it better than DayZ? Is it better than Minecraft? Or
it's definitely better than DayZ in its current iteration, and definitely better than Minecraft in that it actually has enemies that can really fuck your shit up. I mean, I'm not saying it's hard, because it's really not. Once you get your shit together, it's not. It's really not terribly difficult. But it's a pretty good balance. It's pretty good. It's a nice balance. But yes, I'd say it's better than both of them. And since we're talking about DayZ, I mean, if you've listened to this podcast at all, you know that I used to love DayZ, and that now DayZ is shit. It's fucking terrible,
as we've discussed.
However, Arma 3, there's a mod called Breaking Point.
Oh boy, another mod.
I know. But this is DayZ how it was meant to be. No constant reminders. Your balls are wet. Your balls are dry. Your balls are hairy. Your balls are shaven. Oh, my balls feel great. My balls are full. My balls are empty. You know, like I don't give a shit. Well, I do give a shit about my balls, but I don't give a shit about Like, it's not fun. I don't give a shit about your stupid fucking status indicators.
Yeah.
Now, the Breaking Point basically takes DayZ, takes all that fucking stupid garbage shit out of it. Now, there's still food, there's still drink. You still have to bandage, all that sort of stuff. There are different degrees of being wounded. There's still some spurgy shit in there. It just doesn't have the, you're wearing a ghillie suit, and it is 27 degrees Celsius. You are going to overheat at a rate of 3 points per minute. And I mean, it's just that, like, who the fuck thought that was fun?
Nope. Dean Hall.
Oh, God, get fucked. So anyway, this takes the really bad shit out of it, and makes it what it used to be, which is go loot some stuff. There's no base building, so nobody's hiding in their little fuck off Tower of Doom.
Right.
Vehicles are rare. Good guns are rare. Zombies don't have their own skin. They look like players, which makes sense. And they can fuck your shit up if you don't pay attention. They aren't glitchy. They don't glitch through walls like the fucking DayZ zombies have done for the past year and a fucking half. I mean, God, it's good. It's really fucking good.
Yeah.
And I'd like to point out that this game has been, or this mod, I think, has been worked on since Arma 3 came out, which I think was like 6 months after DayZ.
Yeah.
And it's already passed DayZ by miles and miles and miles. It's also, I've been playing it on a smaller map, because the original one is called Chernobyl. All the signs are in Russian, and you have to actually kind of know how to read Cyrillic to know where the fuck you are.
Yeah, it might be helpful.
Not fun. Yet another thing, but whatever. Tradition, okay, you like that, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got that map, but they've got other maps as well. This one I like to play in, it's called New Haven. Chernobyl is something like 25 by 25 real life kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
Might be bigger than that, but it's fucking huge. Like, we're talking like an hour to run across the map. Huge. The map I've been playing on is one called New Haven. Now, it's much smaller. It's maybe 10 by 10. No, Chernobyl has to be way bigger than that. It might be like 40 by 40 or something.
Jeez. Just size.
It's really fucking big.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's maybe 10 by 10 at most. And you get 2 spawn zones to pick from. And then you go. And it's not a huge area. There were something like 50 people on the server I played on. Maybe 8 or 9 towns. So the thing is, you're running into people more often, but not so often that it's like deathmatch.
Mm-hmm.
So I was playing with our friend Gav, OpenLayer,
Okay.
and this beautiful Scottish bastard. He's actually the guy who bought me DayZ and Arma 3.
Have you gotten angry at him yet?
Oh no, Gav's great. But we were rolling around through a city, and you hear gunshots, and you're like, oh shit, somebody else is here. So you're carefully trying to stalk somebody, and you finally find them, and you come up to them, and you shoot them in the back of the head, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And it's also brought back some of the good guns from the actual DayZ mod, like the Lee Enfield, the what is it? The Benelli M4. Yeah,
all those classics.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, a bunch of, I mean, guns.
Yeah, guns.
But, dude, it's good. It's really good, and it reminded me how bad DayZ is now. I mean, capital B, capital G, bad game.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Painful.
Yeah.
So, but you've been enjoying these kind of derivatives that have popped up like crazy in the last year or so. Really, since the DayZ mod got really popular, people have been finding ways to either mod games that exist now, like with the MineZ mod or the Daymine, or whatever the fuck it is. There's like a basically a stripped down Minecraft mod that's supposed to be inspired by DayZ. Yes, I just opened a beer on the podcast. I always drink when I record stuff, and I'm surprised that you don't hear me just like chugging down beers when I'm recording LPs, because it's happening. Like, cutscene goes on, I either mute the mic or hope it just doesn't pick up. Anyways,
Drink with pride. Drink with pride.
drink with pride, indeed. But yeah, the weird explosion in zombie games that were, I mean, it was happening before DayZ came out, but it seemed to just like go into fucking overdrive. Everyone had a zombie game after that.
No, and you're right. And the big thing was, like, DayZ was a great game. It really, really was. Back when it was a mod, there were mods for the mod. It was great. And now with the direction DayZ's gone now, I really don't think you would have seen as much of an explosion in the zombie type games, or rather, they wouldn't have been as successful had DayZ not turned into shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. But it bugs me that, here's this game that we have, and it just becomes a complete goddamn mess within a few months because we decided to try to theoretically improve it. And it was just, DayZ became a complete shit show for a lot of people who played it. I always think that's kind of fascinating that they just went a little bit too far maybe on that.
Yeah. We've been over it what, 5 or 6 times in the podcast?
Yeah.
All the shit they fucked up on.
Oh yeah, I mean we talk about it every other week, I think. At least. But it's just like I can't even put it into words correctly at this point because what I just said made almost no sense. But to watch something that was kind of new and interesting come out and say like we're gonna revitalize this game that's kind of been it was never a huge success, and then DayZ comes out and everyone's like, oh shit, get Arma 2, get this mod, install it. We're gonna play a DayZ. And for the longest time, because I didn't pay attention to Arma, I thought DayZ was an actual product when it was a mod. I didn't know that it was like a mod of a game.
Yeah.
No one had really explained it. It was just we're playing DayZ.
I've still never played any of the Arma games.
They're very in-depth, let's put it that way.
Yeah, Millsburg.
It is... I was playing it with... I really don't know how they're going to do this, because they're going to bring... DayZ is going to get a release on the PS4 at least.
Oh,
Good
God.
fucking luck, son.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Oh, can't wait to see that.
Literally, there was a point where I was playing with some other goons, and they're like, yeah, bind your speaking button to caps lock. It's the only button not used by the game. And I'm like, that can't be true. And I look at the controls, and I'm like, oh, literally everything is used by this game.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I need a mouse with more buttons to run this game.
In Arma 3... you don't just have prone, crouch, and stand. You have low prone, high prone, low crouch, high crouch, low stance, and high stance. And beyond that, you can have a lean left or right.
Yeah.
With those stances on top of the regular lean. So that's just to stand.
It's crazy. It's a
a
bit much.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. It's actually really cool and super useful, and they all have different animations, and it's. I mean, there was a lot of time and effort put into it.
Oh yeah.
But it's for a console. I don't see how that's gonna.
No, it's gonna be massively stripped down and almost nothingness.
It'll have to be.
It's seriously gonna be like, well, we're just gonna put Call of Duty controls in this game. And you can hit select and you can raid stuff. That's going to be about as far as we can really go with this. Or X is going to do everything. Like if you're against a wall, you can hit X to take cover behind it or something. Like, good luck. Good luck, PS4 users, trying to play that shit.
I don't see how it could be successful on console. Like, there's just no structure to the game.
Well, there are no games on those consoles, so...
That's true.
But I mean, look, the no structure to the game thing, if that is no longer a valid argument, and in terms of like games being successful on a console or any other medium, and my lifelong nemesis Patrick Klepek used to make that point before he got really into roguelikes, where he's like, people don't like dying in games, people don't like these games that don't have meaning, and then he got into Spelunky and he changed his fucking tune because he's a pussy. Anyways, it's no longer an argument because look at the most successful game of the last 10 years is Minecraft. There's no. It's like a Minecraft game. Minecraft is the epitome of zero direction. It is just like you need a crafting guide to figure that game out to start with. And even then, people forget crafting recipes and all this other shit, and you don't know half the shit that's in it.
On the 360 version, they actually had a pretty good setup where it would highlight anything that you had the resources to make, and you could just boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, but the PC version that got everything basically launched, there was, and you know this to be true because you watched people play it and you played it yourself. There is no structure to that game. There is none. You were a guy, go to town, and that's, as much as I talk about Arma and DayZ having, a lot of imitators and all these zombie games and everything like that, there are a million Minecraft fucking imitators out there now too.
Yep.
Or games that have crafting elements that are straight up just Minecraft crafting stuff.
Yep.
I mean, it's just these are kind of the things that are happening. You have your zombie games, which I guess technically Minecraft is technically. It's just crazy that there's all these different games that are coming out that have no direction to them, and just like depend on you going out and doing whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say. But on consoles, you don't see as many games like that. And I think that they tend to not do as well. I think Minecraft is kind of the exception, but I don't know what it is, but it's like console games have to have a single player or something.
Yeah.
Which I don't like. I don't like it.
It's just how it is. Like, people are with the console games, but no. Let me backtrack here. Console games generally do have a single player. Almost every game that you can think of that comes out right now has a single player component because multiplayer components in video games are incredibly unstable. You could pay $60 or more, like anyone who bought Hardline on the PC, to have a game that has no community within a month. And it's just, that's why single player is so popular in all these games. That's why Battlefield games started having single player. Not only because, but look, Battlefield games didn't technically have a real single-player campaign until Bad Company, right?
True.
And Call of Duty games, of course, had multiplayer as like a back, sort of a back setup. In the early days, they still had competitive stuff in it, but it was all about that story mode that people looked at and showed off because it turns out it's really hard for a game company to sell people on a game that is only multiplayer. Unless it's on the PC at this point. So I think you're probably right. I'm just trying to work my way into your logic here. Because you look at, let's say, I don't know, League of Legends or Dota 2 or whatever, that are solely multiplayer games. You can play with bots or whatever. Those are very much in the realm of, those are mostly computer-based games right now. Probably because, well, let's face it, controller is not really the best way to control Dota.
No.
But also look at Counter-Strike, let's say, that came out for everything under the sun back in 2012. And the PC community is still, like, throwing 500,000 people in that game on a night, every night, where the console versions of that game were dead within a month.
Yep.
And the game started out as a console title. It was supposed to be an Xbox 360 live arcade version of Counter-Strike when they started designing it.
Yep. But it is kind of funny. I mean, why?
Why do games not work out without a single player?
Yeah, on consoles.
I don't know, it's a good question, but I mean, there's plenty of PC games, let's say the game coming out next week, The Witcher, that are in other CRPGs that are single player only. But I think what you're saying is if we look at a game like a DayZ or something like that, that is a multiplayer only game, a World of Warcraft, if you will, sort of setup. There's no single player. You can play on your own, but whatever. Why does it not work on consoles? I would say probably because consoles have not had internet as long as computers have.
That's actually probably a good point.
I would also say that consoles are generally going to be owned by people who may not have access to high-speed internet.
Hmm.
Like, I'm not saying that, like, oh,
I,
obviously this person is not good at video games and hates themselves because they have a console and don't have internet.
right.
It's more like, why would I get a computer to play games? I can't download games very fast, so I'd have to go buy like 20 discs and put it on the thing. So they can't make use of Steam. They can't make use of good old games. They can't make use of Green Man Gaming or any of these other sites, right? So they're at this point where it's like, well, may as well get a console and just buy the game, not have a network connection, and play single player. On a PC, you're probably not going to get that. If someone has a PC, they probably have an internet connection.
Yeah. Yeah, or a PC that they've gotten specifically for gaming, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I don't know. It's a good question. It I'm sure there's going to be an answer to that someday. Someone's going to do the research and tell you this is why consoles always have single player experiences or whatever it is. But it's a question, I guess.
Yeah.
So you play anything else that was interesting this week?
I did, but you mentioned the Witcher.
Oh yeah.
And my first exposure to The Witcher was actually before I had my current PC, probably 4 years ago, 3 years, something. I got The Witcher 2
Oh yeah.
for the 360, and
I
it
did
actually
too.
looked really good.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah, and it was fun, and it was just the right level of difficult. I mean, that Witcher was definitely a great single-player RPG.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a great job with that second one.
Yeah. I heard the first. I actually don't know a lot about the first one, but the lore for it is really interesting and very adult themed, and yeah, and I'm actually pretty excited for the third one, or I would be if Steam hadn't made me cheap as fuck.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
and
Green
the
Man
idea-
Gaming has a 27% off if you pre-order,
Huh.
and it's on sale right now. It's like $50 instead of 60 for a PC and stuff.
Hmm.
So
But I haven't spent more than $15 on a game in over a year.
yeah, it'll do that to you. I actually I went and looked at Good Old Games, which is run by CD Projekt Red, the guys who make the Witcher games, and they actually have the first two Witcher games on sale. You can buy them both for less than $5 combined.
No shit.
Yeah.
I might do that just because like I've read a bunch of stuff about that CD Projekt Red. I mean, they seem to be a really good company. Like their stance on piracy is if we make a
Whatever.
good game, it's going to sell units. So
Yeah, that's why their entire like library, everything that's on Good Old Games, has no DRM with it, digital rights management.
yeah,
So when you go and download, do yourself a favor and download their goddamn Galaxy thing. It's basically their Steam's page kind of
Yeah.
thing. But if you want to figure out how to launch your games when you get them, I did not, in an hour of figuring out how to run Witcher 2, I could not fucking do it. I was just sitting there like, how do I download this? I don't understand. And like, there's probably instructions out there somewhere to how to get these things loaded, but it shows you like, yeah, it's a bunch of 1.5 gigabyte files that you're going to download. And I realized very quickly that, oh, this is just their CD images that they just uploaded to their store.
that's awesome. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's so Eastern European.
It is. It
Oh,
really is.
we put it on the internet. You get the ISO and you burn on your CD.
And then download yourself. Yeah. That whole thing. But their Galaxy, it's basically, like I said, Steam for Good Old Games. It works just fine. It works great. It's really low impact on your system and everything like that, and it just makes sense how it's laid out. So I would suggest getting that. It's in beta right now, but it'll get updated to be a full release thing. So, but yeah, they have a crazy sale going on right now. Humble Bundle has a crazy sale this week.
I will look at these.
Yeah, the Humble store right now is going nuts, but Yeah, definitely look at goodoldgames.com or GOG.com because it has some pretty decent sales, and you can get like old CRPGs on there for pretty cheap. Like Planescape Torment is on. I keep wanting to say Planescape Tournament. I don't know why. That'd be a fun fighting game, but not what we're looking at. But I ended up picking up something on there the other day that was not Witcher related. It was actually No Hero, which
Really?
is it just came out. It's a what they call a 2.5D shooter. It's basically a pixel art game. You were working for Bunny Lord, who is trying to become. He's a giant space rabbit. He
Hmm.
wants to become mayor of the city you're in, and you are a series of mercenaries that are trying to complete missions for him. It's pretty interesting. It's difficult at times because some of the mechanics I don't think work the exact way they're supposed to.
Hmm.
But like I've been on this one mission for fucking ever, and I can't figure out how to rescue this one hostage. Because you're supposed to rescue all of them if you can, or rescue as few of them, or rescue all of the ones you can. And there's just one guy who's in such a weird spot that I can't figure out how the fuck to get to him without killing him. So it's interesting in that regard. But it's actually a lot of fun. I would suggest giving it a shot. But to get back onto The Witcher, fun story. CD Projekt Red, they kind of fell prey to what people are calling the Watchdog syndrome now. Is that they realize they can't get the game to run really well on the consoles, and so they downgrade the graphics on the PC.
Ah.
And so, from what I've read, all the preview builds of the game are actually on PS4, and they shot for 1080p, 60 FPS or 30 FPS, and apparently it drops a lot of frames in that game. So it's they downgraded the graphics, but maybe not far enough to get everything running smoothly. The PC version, of course, will have ultra settings and all this stuff, but someone was doing a comparison video the other day, and it was really difficult to pick out the differences between the PS4 and the PC version of the game. And
Hmm.
then you look at the preview images they gave, where it looks like a completely fucking different game on the PC. Um, some people are saying that they won't buy the game because of that. Just send a
Yeah,
message to
I'm
CD
sure.
Projekt Red,
Right.
like you guys suck. You shouldn't be doing this sort of thing.
That's
But they
not their
forget
fault.
there's gonna be it really isn't their fault, and I can't even blame Ubisoft for doing it with Watch Dogs. It's annoying. It really is annoying that we're at that point in video games where it's if you have one setup that is more powerful than the other, do not make the most powerful setup your like on par with the most powerful, the lesser powerful units. Like give it everything it can have. Just do it. It doesn't matter. Like Grand Theft Auto 5. Like if you look at how that looks on the PC versus how that looks on the consoles, even
Yeah.
the newer consoles, it looks like years ahead.
It
It's
really
crazy.
looks pretty fucking good on PS4. I was impressed that.
But you should see the PC version of it then, because it looks crazy good.
Hmm.
Like things that don't have actual like polygons dedicated to them in the PS4 and PS3 version have polygons, like buttons on clothes. Like they went out of their way to do crazy stuff, and they redid all the textures and all this. They went really all balls out on it,
Hmm.
which is nice. And I really wish more companies would say, "Listen, we're just going to take advantage of the PC, and we're going to. We know that this is the most powerful platform out there, and this is nothing against console owners or anything like that. But just by like my graphics card has more power than a PS4. Like that is, it has less RAM. It's only got 4 gigs of RAM, but it has more power than the PS4. My entire rig is like 20 times more powerful than Xbox One. It's not their fault. I can't really blame the console makers because they're selling these things at a loss. This is the most economical unit they can put together that people will still be able to say, yeah, I'm going to spend $400 on it. Whatever.
Hmm.
I can't. There's no one really to blame in that. I can't say to the PS4 users you shouldn't get games because you have a less powerful system than me. But I still think that because I went out and I went and got the more powerful system, I shouldn't be stuck with your fucking bullshit downgrade graphics stuff. Like that just strikes me as something that's really dishonest in terms of in terms of what you offer to a customer. And imagine if you and I built these computers around the same time.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had waited a couple years because you really, really wanted to play Witcher 3,
Hmm.
and you're like, I'm gonna build my own PC, or I'm gonna get a graphics card upgrade so I can play this at max settings. It's gonna look great. It's gonna run great. I'm
Right.
gonna feel really good about this. And then you fucking get it, and it looks like the PS4 that you discarded for a PC. Like, wouldn't you feel kind of cheated?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the people who are going to play a Witcher game are probably not going to build a computer just for it. So that shouldn't be a problem. That's my console versus PC rant for the night.
Yeah.
I don't.
What I mean, yeah, we won't get into, I mean, the whole thing. I definitely get what you're saying, but I mean the price point and all that. It's just they're different animals.
Yeah, no, it really is, and I know that it's one of those things where it's like you can't even. I still can't say, listen, Microsoft, you should have built a better machine. They built the machine that they thought they could get away with.
Yeah.
Like that, and the same thing with Sony. They built the machine that was the size and the shape and the power that they thought they could get away with,
Agreed 100%.
and people bought it, whether it was out of, like, hey, I want to have a new console, or I'm a Sony guy, this is what I'm going to buy, or whatever it is. But what's been interesting in the last few years, I don't know if you've seen this, but PC gaming is actually the fastest growing section of the market, outside of mobile, I think.
Hmm.
But like people playing League of Legends and all these other MOBAs, they're really driving the market right now. And so it's kind of insane that we're at that point where it's like PC gaming is not the biggest. It's not the biggest single part of the market. Consoles still. I think mobile gaming actually still has the crown in terms of like size and growth, just because of the number of people who own iPhones and everything like that, or Androids. But PC gaming has come a really long way in the last couple of years, and I think part of that is because the consoles were so overwhelming when they first came out.
Hmm.
Like when you built the PC, why did you build it?
Um, to get into better games, really. I mean,
Okay.
I was tired of I mean, I remember having a whole lot of fun with different genres of games, and on console, it felt like I was just playing kind of the same sort of games over and over and over.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, have you really stopped doing that? I mean, you play a lot of DayZ.
Yeah, yeah, but DayZ isn't something you could have played on consoles, and I
Yeah.
still play. I still get to play Battlefield. I can still play a strategy game. I can do everything because I have a controller that plugs into my fucking PC.
No, that you can't play it. No, that's not right. It's not right, Arnold. You got to play it with the master race approved input devices, the keyboard and mouse. Come on, you know this. Make sure it's a wired mouse too, or you're going to get too much latency. Oh my god. If there's anything that makes me not like being a PC exclusive gamer at this point, it is the goddamn PC master race people. Hands down, probably one of the most toxic groups of assholes you'll ever run into.
Oh yeah,
And I'm really happy with my PC. I would not trade it in for any of the consoles or anything like that, because I get Steam sales, I get all this other stuff. But if you told me that I had to be like equated with those morons all the time, I would fucking get rid of this thing in a minute.
yeah,
I'd play nothing but Angry Birds until you couldn't even call me in the same league with them.
yeah.
Because they're goddamn racist, sexist weirdos that just spend all their goddamn time obsessing over this company isn't doing right by us, we better boycott them, and like launching ineffective boycotts and Steam curator pages, and like sending letters to Gabe Newell, and no one cares. Fucking no, it's goddamn video games. I know we do a podcast about it, and I've been ranting about them for a good 6 minutes, but nothing deserves that much fucking devotion. It just really doesn't.
No, no. It's I don't know. I don't know what it is about PC gaming that attracts just these fucking weird people.
I
But
don't know.
I mean, I don't know, maybe because they spent more money, they feel more entitled.
Well, that gets to the point where I was making about The Witcher, though. You spent more money to have something that can run The Witcher in high definition,
yeah,
ultra
the best
HD.
way. Yeah, the best way it could be ran.
Right. But I really do think there is a bit of entitlement on that. Like, there's something with the hair physics in Witcher 3. They won't work on AMD graphics cards because they use a NVIDIA proprietary software coding or something like that. So people are freaking out, like, but I bought an AMD card, and so they like get this entire fight going between AMD and NVIDIA. And NVIDIA, by the way, now that I have one, is really the way to go. Just gonna say that. I have a 970 now. It's pretty nice.
I heard the 900 series was having some bullshit or something, or did they work through that already?
The way they built the 970 card. It's a 4 GB memory card, or four gig memories. But it's really 3.5 gigs, and then the last point 0.5 is 512 megabytes is a sort of a cache that can be accessed if the memory goes way over. So technically you have access to 4 gigs of memory, but the bandwidth to get that memory to your computer is impeded if it has to go into that last 0.5. And they were talking about if there was going to be a patch or a hardware fix or something like in that range of changes that would make it go back to being what it was supposed to be, but I don't think they ever came to anything on that. But there was like an AMD promotion where you could get one of their 290Xs or something like that, which is sort of like the 970, for cheap if you traded in a 970. So there's, but the 970, like, unless you're doing something really fucked up, you're probably not going to run the 970 into 4 gigs of RAM. So I don't know. I'm not worried about that. It's like, I hate to use the word future-proof because there's no such thing in gaming as future-proofing it. But I haven't, like, Grand Theft Auto 5, because it's so poorly fucking optimized at times on PC. Like, if you can see a bunch of cars straight on, like the headlights and everything, and if a bunch of cars turn, the game, like, goes down to 10 frames per second. What the fuck is this? Like, that's very clearly a game problem and not a PC problem. But I mean, I'm running all these games in ultra 1080p, whatever. No problems with it so far. So I'm not worried about it. So yeah, I kind of went all the way back. We're in the Master Race discussion here. While I'm on it, I've been playing a lot of Counter-Strike too.
Yeah?
I got my 8th win ever this weekend. This morning, as it were. My wife got to witness it. Yeah.
Wow, I mean, that's I can't even hate on you for that, man. Dude, back when, 2004? Man, I played the shit out of Counter-Strike. But I played so much Counter-Strike that even I tried to play it with you guys once, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
You were not having a good time.
I'm like, this is straight from 2000. Like, the games have had 15 years to get better. Now I'm done with it. It is the opposite of fun to me anymore.
I don't know. I've really been enjoying it, just because it is, we play a lot of Battlefield still, or I play a lot of Battlefield still, and Counter-Strike is, like, it's the epitome of a Twitch-based shooter. Because not only do you not have a lot of people playing, and it's a lot of reaction time and corner watching and everything like that, but it's, you only have the one life, so you're constantly on guard. Like, if I turn this corner, am I going to get headshotted immediately? Is there going to be a guy around this thing? Is someone waiting for me? And, there's weapons that everyone says you have to use these things to be good. And, like, on the surface, those are some pretty bad barriers to entry for someone who's pretty used to Battlefield and being able to take your time and line up your shot and everything like that in a tank, or, fly a helicopter or something like that. But the more I've been playing it, the more I realize that the game is really about just breaking people's expectations on what you're going to do and where you're going to be. and the more I've been doing that, the better I've been doing.
Hmm.
So my current favorite thing to do is to grab a bunch of grenades, some armor, and a SMG, usually one of the cheap ones, and just rush one of the areas that people like to hang out in. Like, oh, I'm gonna guard from this angle, and like, no, fuck you, I'm coming in, and just like slowly walk up and pop in the head, and then like get 2 or 3 kills before they come run and take me down, thinking I have the bomb or something like that. Uh, for some reason, that's way more fun to me, and it's way more intense than anything you'll do in Battlefield.
Hmm.
It's just this crazy sort of like adrenaline moment when you realize I just killed 2 guys. There is a third coming at me. I have to reload. Am I going to get this done in time? He misses his shot when he turns the corner. You're able to put him down. You're just like shaking. Your heart's beating, and you're like, "What the fuck is happening? This is a video game." It creates these really intense, fun moments.
Hmm.
Now, losing every single game you play for a week, not a lot of fun. Even if there was a game where people on the other team were like cursing me, and like they were encouraging my team to try to vote kick me because they were saying I had a bot because I was just like really just fucking with them. My team sucked so bad that we lost. I had 26 kills over the course of 12 rounds or something like that before my team forfeit. And like I'm doing okay, but my team lost every single round of those 12.
I'm, I don't, I don't know, man. Maybe I've just changed. Like I recognize that I recognize that it's good at what it wants to do, but I can't do like when I aim at something, I want the bullet to go, or at least my first shot to go right where I fucking aim it. Period. Right there. No stupid fucking like little reticle that I have to memorize the recoil pattern on, because back in the Counter-Strike 1.5 days, you could actually memorize the recoil pattern and jerk your mouse around and fucking hit somebody across the map if you were so inclined to do so. I'm not saying that's what I did, but that's kind of exactly what I tried to do. and I mean, it's I just can't go back, man. Can't go back. My life's about moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's going to be the big thing with the next few years. Is going to be, are people going to be willing to keep playing games like Counter-Strike? And I think that's going to be a big thing. But like, are you going to jump into Defense of the Ancients 2? Dota 2?
Fuck no, dude. Like the MOBAs have the worst communities I've ever seen, and I'm talking like they take it's like spreadsheet simulator. Like let's punch all these numbers into our spreadsheet and see what the most efficient, highest number, most deeps or fucking it sucks the fun out of the game, dude.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we've had this talk too. Like you take football, or any sport you play in the real world, and you can't spreadsheet it. Yeah, you can say this guy has these statistics or whatever, but you never know when that dude is going to come out here and whoop somebody's ass. You know, just because like he has more fight number or whatever. With all the min-maxing bullshit in MOBAs and all that. It's whoever's the most efficient.
Yeah.
And that's not fun. That's the opposite of fun. And that's why I didn't get into StarCraft. Because StarCraft was about how many actions you can do per minute. Right. And in an abstract sense, yes, it was about strategy, but it was more about being able to perform your strategy as efficiently as possible. Mm-hmm. And it just takes away from me, at least, what games are supposed to be.
Right, and I think that's sort of the issue with a lot of games that come up. I mean, look at like Pokemon or something like that, where there's a guy, Three Toes told me about him last week, called the Low Tier God, and he's like this fighting game streamer YouTube guy, and he more or less just completely trashes on everyone who fights him as a spreadsheet fighter. So basically, if enemy does this, do this, sort of guy. And I
Hmm.
can see how that could be really annoying. I think he's just bad at fighting games and should probably admit it. Um, but the point is that, yeah, the people who go, I have the optimal setup. I have figured out the exact weapon to use with this class. All
Right.
this stuff, like it gets old. It gets old fast in every single game you can play.
Yeah.
Like that's not exclusive to Dota or StarCraft or any of these other games that have a sort of an overall strategy to them. Where it's like I'm going to play mid or something like that.
Hmm.
That's Dota, whatever. Um, but we've talked about it before. People who have figured out how to min max in Battlefield are just really annoying to play against and play with because they've hit that point where they may not be the greatest, but they are decent enough that and they've worked the strategies enough that they know where their numbers are and they can go hit those numbers. That's all they need to do.
Yep.
Um, there was actually a guy on one of my Jihad Jeep montages who was arguing that like I hate Jihad Jeeps. They're so cheap. People just like throw
They're
them
not
at
cheap.
tanks.
That's not easy to fucking do at all.
Yeah,
Especially
well,
in 4.
4 is pretty easy to jihad in.
Not like it was in 3.
No, not like it was. Well, I think that's partially because we played 3 on consoles. I will say that until the day I die. Anytime you think you had a different experience in 3 than in 4, I think we have to go back and play Battlefield 3 on a PC for a few days and say, yeah, no, it's different here because of this or that.
Uh,
Because on the consoles, when you only had 16 players per side or whatever it was, versus 32 players per side on the PC, and so you have more people with stingers, more people with javelins, more
No,
people with
what I'm saying is there in 4 there's a more delay between when you hit the clacker and the
oh yeah,
and
yeah,
that I fucking hate that. I could never get adjusted to it, dude. Like I mean I jihaded in 4 too, but it was not like when you get killed after you've mashed the detonate button 3 times, it's just like grr.
yeah. One of the ones, one of my strategies for this is to just send the jeep straight into the tank.
Hmm.
Sending it past the tank or near the tank generally won't work too great because the game is so weird about range. It is so weird about like the explosion radius and how much damage it will do.
Oh yeah.
Because there have been times where I will put like a jeep with C4 on it into a tank and not do damage, and then other times where it'll go right past it, I'll blow it up and it'll kill the tank.
Yep.
And you're just like, what the fuck is happening in this game? Um, but yeah, he was complaining, just basically saying, listen, when fight like a man was basically his statement. It was kind
Eat
of
a
funny.
dick. Pay attention and shoot the fucking jeep before it gets next to you. It has explosives on it. You don't even have to hit the fucking jeep. You just shoot near it.
Yeah, but his point was that if he's like fighting an APC or he's fighting an LAV of some nature, and some guy comes in off the side and slams into him with the jeep, there was really nothing he could do about it, and therefore it was a cheap tactic to use because hey,
Oh my god.
I couldn't defend against this. There was nothing I could do to fight against it.
So you
And
you
it's
have
just-
to have internet honor or something? I mean, like
No, this is I think an issue overall in games and people who play games where they feel they're owed something by the game, or there's like a like they have the game, they're playing it, and the other players should abide by the code of ethics that they envision upon themselves to be applied to everybody. And that didn't make any sense, but they seem to believe there is some sort of online fucking chivalry that
Right.
is going on. That it's like, no, you're not playing the game right. You have to do it this way.
yeah, like
And
internet honor. Yeah.
Right, and I get that. This kind of comes back to Counter Strike. I would get people in the chat in the games who were really angry. I was using SMGs and killing them. It's like I have an assault rifle. How are you killing me with an SMG? I was 2 feet away from you and hit you in the head twice. I don't know what you want from me. Like I can't help you there. But the same thing with the Jihad Jeeps, or when people use the what is it, the UCAVs,
Oh
when
man,
like
oh
Hellbender
UCAV.
has become really good at UCAVs lately, and he'll just knock helicopters out of the sky, and people get really fucking angry at him
Don't
for
sit
using a
still.
UCAV.
It's hard to
Yeah,
fucking UCAV a moving chopper.
yeah,
It
it is.
really is.
You have to basically predict. Or when remember that game we had where we were shooting people out of the sky from with the tanks,
Oh god. Oh.
and like between us we may have knocked 10 jets out of the air.
Oh god.
And it was like,
yeah, you're gonna have to give me a minute to let the blood come back to my body.
But there's the guy who got really fucking salty about the whole thing, and he's like, yelling
But
at
he
us.
was basically like cruising,
Oh
like,
yeah, he was asking to get shot out of the air.
Oh my god,
He was
that guy.
It was just like he may have well just have like painted a target on the bottom of that thing and said, "Shoot me here, dumbass."
God, that was fucking amazing.
If you couldn't hit that guy, you had problems with your aim. That's all there was to it.
I don't know. I think he was kind of unlucky too, because I know you made a perpendicular shot on that guy,
Yeah.
and I know I remember making one too. And I mean, that guy just had some shit luck, because
Yeah.
I would say 2/3 of them were him being a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But then he got some of it, after we both shot him down, it's like we kind of focused on him. So
Yeah.
he just kind of.
There was a point where there were no tanks on the map, so I stole one of the enemy tanks and started shooting them down.
Oh man, see that's Battlefield. Oh, how do you feel about Battlefront?
I'm really looking forward to Battlefront because it seems like instead of we're going to reskin Battlefield to be Battlefront, they have gone out of their way to do something different with it. I don't know if you've read any of the.
I've
the
read a little
information
that there's going to be a buddy system instead of squads, which I really like. That was one of my favorite things from Medal of Honor Warfighter.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the Battlefield thread, actually, I saw.
Yeah.
And you were trying to get people on board with it, and people were like, well, that just means that it's going to be like Warfighter, and no one's going to play it.
But Warfighter was what pissed me off about Warfighter is it was actually a good game. It had different classes. The guns all felt different. Now, granted, the weapon balance wasn't the best, but, I mean, it was fun. It was a good arena shooter. It was better than the COD at the time, by leaps and bounds.
Not
But
difficult.
because I know, but because it had a fucking shitty single player, that's the rep it got, and
Yeah, we saw what happened with the single player in the first Medal of Honor
oh
game.
god damn
That
it!
did
God
not,
damn it! I blocked that shit out, dude.
No one was excited for another Medal of Honor after that one, the 2010 one. That's just straight up the case with that game. Like, wrong game, wrong time. It's the same reason why Hardline on the PC has no one playing it, but the consoles have 20,000 people a night. It's actually, there are more people playing Battlefield 3 than there are Battlefield Hardline on the PC, by like a factor of 5. It's because the last game in the franchise, because it was so broken upon release, was just not worth playing to people. And so, EA is going to pay. In both cases, EA paid for that because they released shitty games or games that didn't work.
Yeah.
And so I think they're hoping that they'll have engendered a little bit of goodwill off of Hardline not being absolutely fucking broken as shit at launch and actually running, because it did. But it sounds like DICE really went out of their way to make this different, because not only do you have the buddy system instead of the squads, but you don't have classes in this game. You have loadouts and abilities and everything that you select and unlock and all that stuff. But you don't have, like, there's not a stormtrooper class. There's not a sniper class or something like that. You pick.
That's a departure from the Battlefront games too.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. And I think part of the reason they had to do it was because if you look at like Battlefront 2 and everything like that, each side had different classes, and they used different races for the rebels and everything like that to simulate that, and different bot designs for the CIS and all that. Actually, in Battlefront 2, there's actually a taunt that is "Die Cis Scum." So.
Oh my god! Yeah. I forgot. Holy shit! Oh god.
Yeah, I was playing that the other day. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
So they're doing the Black Ops style of customization from the
Yeah,
sound of it.
they're doing a Call of Duty style customization where you'll set up your classes. I think you can actually change your like Battlefield. You can change your classes during game, but you have classes that you basically build,
Right.
and you run with those instead of running with a bunch of I'm an engineer, or I'm a sniper, or I'm a medic.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of that, you have a guy who could be using the Star Wars equivalent of an LMG and repairing tanks or whatever it might be. So it really sounds like they're going out of and it's going to be 40 players instead of 64, which I think is a concession.
I think it's good though. I make the maps a little smaller, and it can still be fun. I mean, dude, we played with 24 people on Battlefield 3 maps.
Oh yeah.
So, and we had a great time. So I'm thinking 20 on 20. Yeah, if there are enough vehicles, yeah, that could work.
It really could, and it seems like they seem to have a plan for post-launch work. Like they're going to be throwing out free maps for the game at some point. There's going to be at least one free map pack that's going to be anyone who owns the game before a certain date will get these 4 maps for free. But they said they're going to launch with 12, and they might be adding up to 14 through updates just for free, and then before any sort of stuff. Because DICE is straight on, and EA have straight on said, we are trying to get this game out in time for the new movie. And we will add content and updates and everything like that to it once the game's out, but we really need to have it out to come out with the movie.
Which I understand that. I mean, that is a completely logical deadline. I mean, because Star Wars is basically like printing money.
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean, with Battlefield 4, maybe a more arbitrary deadline that you might not understand as well. But Star Wars is a big fucking deal. I mean, I don't know if I've ever told you how I feel about Star Wars.
A lot. You feel a lot about it.
But Jesus H fucking Christ. Like no. I watched the episode 7 trailer, and I saw the Star Destroyer in the sand, and I'm just like, and then at the end, you see Han Solo, and he's like, "Oh, Chewie, we're home." I'm like, "You are home. You're in my heart. We're here." And all was forgiven, and I forgot about the first 3 movies that don't exist. So that's all I needed to fucking hear.
Yeah, I gave my nephew my Star Wars DVD collection actually, so he can get hyped, and he and I are gonna go see the new Star Wars movie when it comes out near our birthday.
Man, holy shit! Oh man! Oh, and then when Luke was talking to his
son.
Fucking son, oh Jesus Christ!
My father had it. I have it. Yeah.
Like, he's the Jedi he's the Jedi Master now. And his son's name is Ben. His son's name better be fucking Ben, or I'll be pissed. No, because I read the books, and granted, some of the expanded universe is fucking terrible, but a lot of it's good. And his son's name better be fucking Ben, or I'll be pissed. Anyway.
Okay. So yeah, did you know that the desert planet is not Tatooine?
Really?
Yeah, it's a different planet. Yeah, get ready.
Shit.
Get ready. They're not just rehashing. And that robot, that Rolly robot, was actually an actual model and not computer generated.
God, really?
Yeah, that's it's like an R2-D2 robot that rolls for real. They brought it out at the Star Wars thing and like made it roll around and shit, and people were really excited.
I'm so excited.
So
yeah, like I was super jaded for the whole fucking thing until I saw the first trailer, and I'm like, okay, maybe, like a glimmer of hope, perhaps a new hope.
No.
Fired in my heart a little bit, and then I saw the second one, and I just like went full on, like yes, like No, because Star Wars was like my fucking childhood, and I
Yeah.
feel like that. Granted, you can't really hate on George Lucas because he's given like a fucking $1 billion to charity, but he kind of shit on my childhood. But he did good things with the money he made from shitting on my childhood.
Yeah, there's a documentary that's like the People versus George Lucas or something like that, where like people air their grievances against George Lucas's prequel trilogy.
I, I don't want to talk about it.
Were you in that?
No,
Oh, so
I just don't want to talk about it. I don't want
we've
to talk
gone
about the
from
original trilogy.
DayZ rip-off mod games to PC Master Race to Star Wars, which is always where we want to end this thing, unless we can start doing a wrestling segment too.
Oh my god, let me get some baby oil.
Every week with the baby oil. So, anything else you want to say? I think we're pretty much at the end of this thing.
Roll Tide?
Good job, you're learning. Roll Tide, everyone.
Born ready?
Ugh.